I'll just run through the whole beginning part and then,
Is it going?
yeah, that's all right.
You'll edit it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Uh, Welcome. My name's Christian, and you are?
Denise.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you. So, welcome to therapy. First off, I'd kind of like to just run through a few things, how the whole session is going to be structured, this whole process. So, right away, let's talk about some confidentiality. So anything that you say to me stays between you and me in the confines of these sessions, except for a few exceptions. Like if you inform me of any risk of suicide, homicide, or any other physical harm, and same as any information regarding abuse or neglect relating to children, elderly, or people who are disabled.
Okay.
Questions about that?
Nope.
Okay.
Feel good about it?
Okay. Because that's one of the big things that I like to really hammer home with these with this therapy is you can trust me, I can trust you. That's the basis of a working relationship. And if we have a strong one, we'll be able to go far and get some good stuff taken care of.
Okay. Awesome.
So, with that being said, how are you feeling today?
I'm good. Well, I've never been to therapy before, so
Okay.
I'm not really sure what to expect. I'm kind of scared. So I appreciate you talking about trust.
Yeah, it's a big thing. People get, I'm someone you've never seen before.
Totally.
It could be daunting, intimidating.
But my friend said you were really helpful to her.
Okay, well, I'm glad that I'm being recommended. That makes me feel good. Let's see. So as far as you being here in therapy, tell me a little bit about kind of the main reason you're
Okay.
here.
Well, can I clarify something really quick?
Mm-hmm.
Is this for an hour? Like, how long do we talk?
Right,
Like an
so
hour?
this will run
Okay.
for 45 minutes, give or take
Great.
a couple minutes.
Okay, great. So I'll watch the clock and stuff so I don't overdo
Right,
it. Okay,
right.
Awesome. So what brings me here is, I don't know, I just had a ton of friends recommend me come and just talk to someone professional because every year, right before the holidays, I start getting really, really stressed out
Okay,
with all of our family events.
right, okay. So what are some of these family events?
Okay, so for the family events, usually what happens is my mom and dad come the week before the week before Christmas, because they came for Thanksgiving. They'll come, we'll celebrate, but it's always kind of awkward because we have to send the gifts to my brother and his kids. So we have to have our gifts ready to send with my mom and dad because as soon as they're done with us, then they drive up to New York, okay?
Okay,
We're really disconnected from my brother and his family, so it's this really awkward, like, here are the gifts, but we never see them. So that's
Okay.
stressful, okay?
all right,
But the kids are excited, whatever. So then that's that. Inevitably, all of our children are usually disappointed in what they get, which is fully ridiculous because it's just ridiculous, but whatever. Then, after that, we go to my in-laws' house, which is my mother-in-law, who lives away, this is TMI, but here we go, since this is therapy.
there you go.
So, my mother-in-law was married to my father-in-law, but they were estranged. So I've been married to Grant for, whatever, let's just say 20 years. I've met him twice, and then he died 9 years ago. So when we go to Chicago, it's only his mom in the house that Grant grew up in, but this is where the stress comes. So she's home. The second oldest sister runs the family business. She lives there. So she has kind of like, this is my normal life, okay? Then the youngest sister comes in from Michigan with all of her kids, and each of the three families are totally opposite in how they do life, okay?
Okay,
So it's totally stressful because we're all living Well, that's not true because Justine goes home, but all the kids, there's 8 kids, and we all stay, all the kids are always together. So they're at my mother-in-law's house, but of course my mother-in-law is 78, so she has no patience for any type of noise or disorder. So she's stressed out yelling at people. So everyone's trying to like keep the kids from grandma, but whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so my stress level starts going through the roof.
Okay. It
It's-
sounds pretty hectic.
It's
Pretty
hectic.
chaotic. Yeah. What part do you play in that then?
Okay, that's like the best question. This is where my friend liked you so much. You're so good at this. The stressful part is the tension between my mother-in-law and the 2 girls.
Okay.
It's palpable.
Okay. And you're trying to be a balance in that? Or
Yes.
stay out of it
Because where do I
completely?
fit in all this? Okay, so I'm totally laughing because usually I find myself hanging out with the kids more times than not because it's not stressful with them.
Okay. All right.
So I'll take Grant and we'll play games with all the kids. So we'll have this, this is so weird, but it's like this separate universe. It's like the kids, best time of the year, they love each other, totally fun dynamic. So we just play. Like Grant and I will wrestle with the kids, we'll initiate games. Not that we're the only ones doing it, but whatever.
Right.
So fun. But then it's like I try to engage with my mother-in-law and the sisters, but when everybody's together at the same time, it's palpable. But when I'm when I'm alone with each one of them,
Mm-hmm.
it's totally different and totally fine.
Okay.
So Grant and I just try to like stay away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I still want to be engaged because I love them.
Right.
But we're just like, this is between you guys. I don't even know how to enter into this. But after a week, it stresses me out. Does that make sense? Because it's like,
It makes a lot of sense. Yes.
and the funny thing is, because it's tense but nobody acknowledges it, little things will set people off. So you never know if someone's gonna like lose it.
Okay. Can you tell me about a specific time when
When someone
something
lost
like
it.
that happened? Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law on day 5 was starting to lose it.
All right.
Okay, it was Christmas Eve. Me and my 2 sister-in-laws were making dinner. Okay, and again, we're doing everything so my mother-in-law is not stressed. Okay, so we're doing everything, but apparently my youngest sister-in-law, this is outrageous. This is an example of the tension. Put the gravy in a bowl that wasn't a gravy bowl.
Okay.
So my mother-in-law climbed up on a counter. She's 78. She climbs up on the counter to reach the highest possible shelf, pulls down a gravy bowl, and starts yelling, "This is a gravy bowl. Gravy goes in a gravy bowl."
Okay.
So Grant and I are like, "Okay, all the children, let's go to the other room. Let's play something." So they scamper out because they're like, "Is Grandma upset? I don't know what's going on." And then Grant is like, "What are you doing? You are losing it on Christmas, and you're being mean." Do you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
he's like,
Right.
"Mom, what are you doing?" Do you know what I'm saying? And then but everybody ignores it. Like that's classic Grant's family. Like everyone ignores it. So she's lost it. Grant's trying to help her, and then the 2 girls just keep working. And I'm just standing there like, do I go play with the kids? I mean, or do I carry food? Yeah.
Okay.
But it's the worst dynamic because it's the 3 girls, and does that make sense? And then Grant and I enter in,
Right.
and he's the only boy,
Mhm.
so he's kind of separate. But it's like the 3 girls is like tense.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. So that gives me a good kind of
can you picture it?
yeah.
Okay,
I
so
can
when-
picture a little bit of the dynamics.
Okay,
there.
so maybe a good question for you that could help me with Christmas is, me personally, how do I enter into that? But no, it's not my issue, it's their conflict,
Right.
but still have a relaxed Christmas
Right.
with the kids in the basement. Just kidding.
Yeah. No, that can be
Is this
definitely a
okay?
tough balance.
The video? It went. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure we don't lose something. Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough balance. But it seems like you have enough of a grasp on it that you have a sense of humor about it. What I've noticed.
Yes. But it makes me sad
Okay.
because I love them all. Like, I sincerely love them. So it's actually painful for me to watch. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Like, the fact that my mother-in-law lost it, comic relief. I mean, it's like someone just created that out of nowhere. Like, oh my gosh, what the heck? But I'm so sad that she reached that point
Mm-hmm.
that she did that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I could not have made up that scenario. But the fact that it happened makes me so sad. You
Right.
know? So
Yeah, and it kind of shows how much you care by the fact that you and your husband, kind of usher the kids out of that situation to kind of get away from it and go off and do their own things that do not have that conflict. So you started to talk a little bit about the types of stuff that you will do with the kids to keep them occupied and
Mhm.
keep yourself occupied. I guess what, besides the conflict, getting away from it, what draws you to that? Because there's a bunch of ways you could escape that conflict, but you guys choose to do that. What draws you to that?
Tell me this. Am I following your question correctly? Because I'm hearing two different things. I'm like hearing once you're there, you have a plan on how to get a break from it, but what draws you to engage in it?
No, so what draws you to take the kids off to the side and just go play with them, right?
Well, when the adults start
Right.
being snarky. Not even just snarky, because that's like when the tension starts rising to a point that it's changing the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So everyone will be fine. Everyone will be hanging out. Then stuff will happen where everybody starts to feel like nervous. You can see the kids kind of start to be like, what's happening? Are they upset? Did I do something? Is there something here? And so, does that make sense? So that's when Grant and I will intervene in terms of, hey everybody, let's let Nana go take a nap, or let's let, you know what? That's between Uncle Jay and Aunt Justine. How about if we, not the we, how about if we go play? You know, so we'll navigate, not like we're trying to, it's palpable. Everybody knows it's happening, but we don't want to stay there. Like, we want the kids to just go in a different direction
Okay.
so they can work it out.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
So everything, when it's normal, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
It's when the tension starts, when something happens and the tension starts going up, that Grant and I will kind of look at each other and be like, okay. Let's get some ice cream. Let's change directions.
Right. So I guess what I'm hearing is that it's less about how the conflict affects you individually and more about, I don't want this to affect the kids.
Both.
Okay.
Because I feel like when I go, I'm all in, everything's fine, but on the other side of it, it takes me like 3 days to feel myself again.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Because it just drains me so much.
Yeah.
Like
So,
the tension, like just being in such an intense environment, your guard is up, and then when you come home, it's like, okay, let's just watch brainless movies for 3 days so I can get back to normal. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that's your husband's family.
Yes.
What's your side of the family like when that?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
Perfect.
Hilarious. No, my side and Grant's side rarely cross because they're in Ohio, and then Grant's family is in Chicago, and we're smack in the middle of Indy, and so 3 hours, 2 hours, so they rarely cross.
Okay.
But Grant's family, it's hysterical because his issues are just the opposite of mine, if that makes sense. Like his dad, totally disengaged, a jerk, who's an alcoholic. I mean, it was really bad, you
Okay.
know. And Grant's the only boy, 2 sisters, they have a family business. They're very good socially. Like, so they own this business, so they're involved in all these community things. And if you would meet them, you'd be like, you're like the sharpest person I've ever met. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, just really good socially, but then when you get home, nothing ever goes beyond the surface. So
Okay.
there's never this sense of like, I'm walking away feeling like I know you better. Does that make sense? Like we talk about the neighbors a lot, we talk about all this stuff, but there's not a real connection. Contrast to my family, they are not good socially.
Okay.
Like, Grant and I get so stressed out taking my parents in public because we're never really sure what's gonna happen, okay?
Mhm.
And so total contrast in terms of like my mom is very anxious, she panics. Like so if the kids go, if we're in a restaurant and the kids go to the bathroom, and if in my mom's opinion the kids are in the bathroom too long,
Okay.
you'll literally see her start panicking. She'll be like, Aaron's been in the bathroom a really long time. Do you know that Aaron's been in the bathroom? Aaron's been in the bathroom. And so Grant and I are like, just give him time to work it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So the stress is different. Do you know what I mean? Like the things that don't stress me out with them stress me out with my parents. But then when my parents come, it's like we have normal conversation. There's a sense of connecting
Yeah.
that's not there with Grant's family. And I feel like that's what drains me. Like
Okay.
not only the conflict, but nobody has normal conversation beyond. So does that make sense? So my family is totally stressful when my mom starts stressing, and then my dad does ridiculous things, and it's like, oh my gosh, but just different.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
different stresses.
Right.
But for the holidays, Grant's family is very stressful.
Okay. That.
Yeah, my family will be another week, but for the holidays, Grant's family,
Okay.
because we're living there.
All right.
Yeah.
So you don't spend much time with your family over the holidays? Okay.
Because my mom and dad live just an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
And again, the whole anxiety thing, they want to be at home.
Okay.
So they'll come for 5 hours and then they leave right away so they can be at home.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's
Nice.
that's a way to prevent.
Oh, totally.
Clearly, it prevents stuff from escalating
Yes,
too
totally.
far.
Yeah.
So it's working.
It's working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so when my family comes, they're delightful.
Okay.
But then they go. If they would stay beyond that 5 hour, it may not be delightful.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But with Grant's family, we're living there.
Mm.
And so it's just, everything's highlighted.
Yeah.
And so Grant and I will try to go to coffee shops. You know what I mean? We'll be like, hey, can we just go?
Yeah.
We'll try to take a lot of walks. We'll try to be with each other. But
That's actually what I was going to ask you
Okay.
right next was everything you've been talking about, it's always with your husband. So it sounds like a pretty good relationship that you have with him. Tell me how that helps in those situations where you're around his family during the
he's
holidays.
everything. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he's for sure the best. Like, he's like my best friend, blah, blah, blah. But when we go into those situations, we talk about it before we go.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be like, okay, how are we doing time? Do you have any
Yeah, 18.
18 more minutes?
No,
You've
it's
only
at
been here for
19
18?
minutes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Alright.
Okay, do you want to talk
So-
more? Okay.
No, you're good.
You sure?
Alright, so
Most of it's real, but I can expand on whatever. So you just tell me if you want me to start telling stories. So yes, when Grant and I were first married, he would go home and he would turn into a different person. I
Okay.
mean, he would, like with me, he was relaxed, helpful, engaging, blah, blah. When we were first married, he would go home and he would turn, we laugh about it now, but he would totally regress into kind of a self-absorbed guy, like at home, because his dad was his family was like traditional, the man is in charge. His dad was a jerk though, do you know what I mean? So it's like, he was a jerk, but to kind of a reference point, it was like everything revolved around him, everything revolved around his mood. If he came in, the kids would usually scamper, because he wanted something. And so the girls always grew up doing everything. So they were doing the dishes. Like, you know, they wouldn't sit at dinner. They would jump up, clean off the table, while Grant and his dad would watch TV. Does that make sense? So he's not like that with me. So then when we went home, and he would just sit there at dinner and not engage with anybody and like let his sisters clean up, I was like, I don't know. What are you doing? Do you know what I mean? He's like, I know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that. I'm like, oh my gosh, beat your sister to the dishes. And he's like, totally. Do you know what I mean? So ever since we've been married, we've been talking about these dynamics where it's like, you're not at your best when you're doing this. It's like, and I'm not at my best either. It's like, you know, what in the world? So we've talked about his family since we've been married. Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel like we have done such a better job than when we were first married, because I think he would disengage to avoid the stress. And he would tell me that. He was like, when I was little, well, teenager, when I was little, I moved my bedroom to the basement, and he was like, and I was there all the time. And he was like, and I loved it. I loved getting away from the stress, you know? And I was like, totally. So that's that. I'm trying to think how else you said that. So we just talk about it a lot. Do you know what I mean? And so when he goes, I'm like, okay, let's try to ask this question. Let's try to be engaging. So we try to think of things to be encouraging. Do you know what I mean? To actually move towards people. I don't know if anybody notices, but we're trying.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because we love them. That's the point. We absolutely love them. And we want it to be a time where they feel encouraged and we're all in it. And, you know.
Okay.
I feel like I got distracted. Is that what you're asking? That Grant and I are in it together.
Yeah.
Yes. So Grant and I don't have any conflict with each other when we're there. It's like, I feel like we're a major moral support where things will happen, like maybe at dinner, like someone will say something and I'll look at it and I'm like, is that me? You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like we do a good job.
That's good.
Encouraging each other.
That's good.
But it's taken us 18 years, but do you know what I'm saying? It's like, but yeah, he's a definite source of comfort in the whole deal. But
that's great that you've identified that and you rely on that. So maybe even going further with that, what's the dynamics like regular everyday life for Denise and Grant and your kids?
It's easy. It's really easy. Yeah, it's super easy. One dynamic that I'm curious of, and I think this affects the stress level when we go to Chicago too. Okay, you ready for this? Grant's family, the one sister, is, I don't know if she's independently wealthy, but she inherited a tremendous amount of money, which makes me think she's independently wealthy, which adds a dynamic. Her kids are the highest performing children I've ever met in my entire life. Like everyone plays an instrument, they all speak French. They all are on the soccer travel team, swim travel team. Let's see, their son, who's 12, plays for the highest possible hockey league that you could be a part of in Michigan.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've ever heard of Bell Tire hockey.
I haven't.
Okay, so Bell Tire, apparently, this is what I'm learning.
Okay.
The man who owns Bell Tire, who I guess is very wealthy, I guess Bell Tire is a big tire, did not. He likes hockey. His son is interested in hockey. So he puts hundreds of thousands of dollars into this hockey league. He hires a professional coach, and they travel internationally throughout the entire year, like Canada. I know that's connected, but Canada. I think they were in Russia for a while playing hockey, and he basically covers financially the entire family to travel to all these different places to play youth hockey. Okay, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, okay? And so that might add to the pressure a little bit, because when we go, everything, not everything, because that's too extreme, we think it's weird how into hockey they are, because it feels like it's almost more about my sister-in-law than my nephew. Because he's a gifted athlete, for sure, but she is really into it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And so So then you bring my kids into the mix, and we're about as average could get, which I'm totally fine with. But when we get there, she'll make comments like, "Well, isn't Aaron?" Like, I know Aaron doesn't measure up for her. Does that make sense? And she'll say, "Well, isn't Aaron into any sports?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know that he likes sports." And she has no response. And she's like, "Well, have you tried lacrosse yet?" Like, so it's almost like unacceptable to not be an athlete,
Right.
essentially. Beside the fact he's had paralyzing asthma his whole life, but whatever, small detail. And so, do you know, like, it's stuff like that it's like it adds to the tension because, and I don't know that Aaron experiences it because I think we pretty much neutralize the kids. Like, it's not like we treat Luke special. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it's this weird family dynamic where I'm pretty sure Aaron and Abigail and Josh don't measure up. And my sister-in-law's mine. And this is part of the tension. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And we're okay because we're apart from it. It's like, it's not my family, this is your deal, that's your baggage. Do you know what I mean? But she'll make comments about the other kids and what they're doing, what they're not doing. Or my mother-in-law, like, she just doesn't live up to whatever my sister-in-law thinks she should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's grumpy the whole time we're there. So Grant and I are like, what do you do? Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
so she is a huge dynamic to the mother and the two sisters. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so that kind of adds to the whole tension. So it's not really Grant and I,
Mm-hmm.
it's like how Grant and I enter into this. Because, okay, so on a funny note, I hope you think this is funny,
Okay.
but you don't have to laugh.
All right.
It's kind of ironic because Grant and I were always the one that were the best athletes. She wasn't that good at much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
what a jerk. Okay, am I? But it feels like she's compensating.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can definitely see.
Do you see what I'm pitching? So
Mhm.
it's tense. It's like she'll make these little comments and you're just like, ugh.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't want to react because I care about her, but it's like it eats my lunch. Me thinking she's sizing out my son or my daughter. They're not. And the other nieces. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not just my kids, it's the other two.
Yeah.
You know? And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, it makes me mad.
Yeah.
And it's stressful because it's like this palpable, like you know you're being judged. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that adds to the dynamic.
Yeah.
Good
So-
times.
Yeah. So, how do you think? Because that's big.
It's huge. It's a huge dynamic.
Yeah. How do you think that affects your behaviors while you're over there? How do you think that kind of influences how you act there?
Okay, so it's kind of like good cop, bad cop.
Uh-huh.
So if I take the higher road, like let's just say all the stars align and I'm taking the higher road.
Okay.
I try to walk in humility and just be encouraging. Like, Carol, that is so exciting that you got picked for this team. That's a real privilege. Like just asking about them, figuring out like, you must really enjoy this. Oh, you're going to Europe. That's so great. Oh my gosh. Okay. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so if I take the high road, which is always exciting, I just want to be encouraging. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, have at it. That's so, what a neat privilege that your family gets to do that. That's unbelievable. Who has ever heard of that? That's awesome. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I take the dark road,
Okay.
okay, I get snarky. And I kind of want to remind her that Grant and I were better at everything that she did.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Okay.
so the dark road.
Yeah.
Love that.
So
So the dark road doesn't help anybody.
I was gonna say,
It doesn't
how does
help
the dark road?
The dark road doesn't help anybody.
Right.
It just hurts her. Does
Uh,
that make sense? Because I think she's operating out of a place of hurt, and she's trying to compensate.
yeah.
I mean, it's so sad, but that's what I think. I think, and even Grant has said that. He was like, Denise, he was like, it's not personal. It's like my dad adores me. And I was like, my dad's, like even today, if my dad would walk in here, you would think he's never seen me. He would be like, Denise! Oh my, like, I know my dad adores me. Do you know what I mean? I could not do anything more to impress him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite for her.
Okay.
Like, her dad was so mean to her. And Grant has told me, he's like, Denise, I know it's very difficult. And he goes, but she's my little sister, so it's easy for me to, like, not take her serious. And he was like, but she's a hurting little girl. Like, I feel like she's trying to get her dad's approval, even though he's dead. Do you know, like, he's like, so if anybody deserves mercy, it's her. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he was like, she's been vulnerable with you. And I was like, I know. So it's like, so there's this high road of like, like I literally almost think this is awful, but sometimes I think it would be easier for me if she was like a drug addict acting out negatively.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Versus this extreme overperforming, like nothing's ever enough. I have to buy my third round of furniture. I'm redoing my house again. Does that make sense? It's like, I don't know if she's ever happy until she's like the best. So it's like, so if you have a purse, I have the best purse.
Okay.
You know, like I'm not sure why you'd shop at Kohl's because that's kind of like, who does that? You need to,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's threatening. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, stop. You know what I mean? But, so that's how, it's exhausting. That's my point.
Uh-huh.
When I'm at home, I'm like, none of that stuff, I have safe friends, like, I'm just like, none of this stuff gets to me. But when I go there and it's just the six of us,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there's no break. Do you know what I mean? And so it's constantly like, I'm watching the tension between the three women, but I'm constantly hearing from Carol how like, this here is really critical for Luke if he's going to go to professional hockey or not and move to Canada. He's 12. And it's like, okay, like, do you want your kid to go to Canada
Right.
at 12? Like, is that a good decision? I don't know, but okay. I don't know. So, it's crazy. So then she gets offended if you suggest that may not be the best option
Mm-hmm.
for a 12-year-old to live with a Canadian family and be under the total authority of a hockey coach. Does that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it drains the stinking life out of me. But what you mean by how does it affect me? It
Yeah.
drains me. Like, I just feel like I'm constantly trying to, like, be merciful. But then she'll say something snarky, and I'll be like, and I'll be like, oh, mercy. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, if she was a drug addict, I really feel like it would be easier for me to love her because I don't think she would be provoking me as much, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're obviously messed up, it's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, it's like, oh, so your kid doesn't play several instruments? Okay, cool. Okay.
Okay.
So you're wasting time? Okay, cool. Wow, Aaron's on video games a lot. Okay. Okay. We don't let our kids do that.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So when because you were talking about take the high road or take the low road,
Yes.
dark road.
Yes.
What's it like when you're being torn between being the snarky, doing those comments,
What's it
and
look
then,
like?
well, not that, but because it sounds like you're the person that would be the very encouraging, very like you naturally take the high road.
Okay.
But your sister-in-law, whatever she does, is kind of provoking you to go to the dark side. What's
Sounds hilarious. It's
what's
like Darth
the
Vader.
yeah? What's that kind of?
Why does she provoke me and someone else doesn't? Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking, what's that feel like when you're being torn apart from being your natural self,
Mm-hmm.
taking the high road,
Okay.
and then taking the
So
dark road?
tell me if this is what you're looking for.
Okay.
When it's easy for me to take the high road, I'm not thinking about it. I'm relaxed. I'm not self-conscious. I feel the freedom to just be myself. And if I make a mistake, it's not going to be pointed out. I'm relaxed. Like I literally physically feel relaxed. And that's why Grant's family is so draining for me. I don't feel relaxed. Like I'm very much on edge in terms of, am I gonna say something that's gonna, am I gonna, like, because that's happened. Like my mother-in-law can't hear anymore, okay? And she's yelled at me before because she didn't hear me. And I shot right back and I was like, Carol, you're treating me like crap. It's like, I love you. If you can't hear, tell me and we'll adjust. Don't just go off on me in public because you can't hear and you're feeling insecure. She's like, I know, I'm sorry. So it's like.
Okay, so you've told her that.
Oh,
you've
totally.
had a confrontation.
Yeah, like my mother-in-law for sure. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I haven't had any conflict with Carol like that. Yeah, that's not true. Yes, I have. That didn't go well.
Okay.
Yeah, that didn't go well.
Tell me more about that then.
Okay, this was kind of traumatic. Okay. So about 2 years ago, so Aaron, I'm super protective of Aaron because he's always been really sick. Like he's a very sick kid. I mean, whatever. In and out of the hospital with asthma. He has every possible allergy under the sun. To boot, he's anxious. You know what I'm saying? So it's like my issue, but I feel extra protective of him because I feel like he has all these health issues and stuff, anxiety, all these things. And so, so he's not very athletic, which, again, not that it matters, but I don't think he's interested in athletics. Like it's never gone that well for him because he can't breathe. Okay, hello. He likes soccer, but he's not willing to put in 5 days a week. You know what I mean? Like when he got to the age where we were like, well, do you want to do travel or do you want to just do rec? He's like, I don't want to be gone that much. He's like, I'm okay doing like 2 days a week, but I don't want to be competitive. I don't want to put that much time to it. And we're like, great, there you go. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's where he's at with all that. He's not performing in Russia is the contrast.
Right.
Okay. And so, so about 2 years ago, their kids all had iPhones, okay? And so it goes, this is the age gap. It goes Kayla, it's hysterical because she's the firstborn and everybody thinks she walks on water, okay? Which is hysterical because it's just Kayla, but it's like the oldest cousin and all that. So there's Kayla, 2 years, then, how old?
37.
Okay. So Kayla, 2 years, then Aaron, then Kenzie, this is all within a year, then Aaron, Kenzie, Luke, Abigail, okay? So the only reason I'm saying that is because the age difference, you would think Aaron and Kayla would pair off, but they don't. Not that it matters, but she's a girl, she's kind of hard, whatever. She's kind of like, put out and well, snarky, whatever. So there's Kayla. And then that leaves Aaron, Kenzie, and Luke. So the three of them will hang out, okay? 2 years ago, Kenzie and Luke, they all had iPhones. Aaron didn't have any iPhone. He didn't have an iPhone until this year, which once again, I'm fine with. Okay. So, so apparently, Kenzie and Luke were texting each other like, hey, I'm in a golf camp. They did this golf camp, okay? So they were like, no, wait, I'm in a golf camp. No, and they were talking about it. So, and this is another weird thing for me. My sister-in-law keeps saying, Kenzie and Luke have such a special relationship, okay? It's weird. I'm like, really? I don't ever see her hanging out. I don't know, like, really? Like, why do you have to, like, declare that? Like, that's weird. Like, nobody does that. But whatever, I don't need you to say, like, do they? It's just, like, it bothers me. Because it's like, but then maybe that's my issue. I'm always bothered when people are like, this is my best friend. It's like territorial. Does that make sense? That's how it feels to me.
Exclusionary, kind of.
Totally. It's like Luke and Kenzie have a special relationship. And I'm like, really? There's 8 cousins. I don't think so. Do you know what I'm saying? Again, I think this is your issue. So we get together for the summer, and basically Carol makes plans and we're all together. The unspoken rule is that when everybody's in Chicago, everybody does everything together, except Denise and Uncle Grant if they want to go to a coffee shop by themselves. Okay? But other than that, the unspoken is we never see each other, so anything we do you have the option, but everyone's invited.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? So she made reservations for Kenzie and Luke to play golf, but didn't invite any of the other cousins. Okay? I was pissed
Mhm.
because I kind of had a feeling this was coming, but no, it was real secretive. Do you know what I mean? Because Kenzie would be like, "Am I going golfing? Like, am I supposed to go golfing or something?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Are we going golfing?" She's like, "I don't know. Luke said something that we're supposed to go golfing." So do you know what I mean? So it wasn't this clear cut. It was this real. So I was like, "Carol, are you going golfing?" "Well, I don't know. Like this totally ambiguous. So show up, and the next thing I know, Luke's getting dressed up in this entirely new hockey or golf outfit. Okay. And I was like, "You look nice, Luke. What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, my mom got me the pants and the shirt and new golf shoes, and I'm going golfing." I'm like, "Great. When are we all going golfing?" I knew this was going badly. And he goes, "Oh, it's just me and Kenzie." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Carol, it's just her and Kenzie?" And she goes, "Yeah, I mean, Aaron's not into that kind of stuff." She excluded Aaron and Abigail. Okay? And then all of a sudden you hear Aaron from the living room going, "Are we all going golfing? That's awesome. I love golfing." Okay? And then Abigail's like, "Can I go golfing?" Because that's the stated, when we're together,
Yeah, that's the
we do it
status quo.
together. It's the status
Everybody
quo.
does everything together.
And so I was like, Aaron, I am so sorry. Apparently, and I said this in front of everybody, I was like, "I'm so sorry. Apparently, Carol made plans for Luke and Kenzie to go golfing, and so we're going to have to let them go golfing by themselves. I am so sorry." Aaron starts bawling, runs to the bathroom. He's like, "I don't even understand that. What the heck?" And I'm like, "Aaron, this is not my farm." I was like, "I didn't do this. I am so sorry. I know it's really disappointing." Okay. So then my sister-in-law feels bad that Aaron's crying, and he turned it around. He's like, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So he comes out. We come out of the bathroom. All of a sudden, Luke's bawling. Okay.
Okay.
And I was like, "Luke, what in the world?" He goes, "My mom's yelling at me." So she starts going off on Luke. Because I don't know why. I don't know why.
For blowing the secret by wearing his
Or
clothes?
something. I don't know what Luke did.
Okay.
And he's like, "I guess we can't go golfing." And I'm like, "What the heck?" You know? Oh, I know what it was. Carol goes, "I'm sorry, Aaron. You don't have the right clothes to go golfing. This is a $5 public golf course." Oh my gosh. I grew up golfing. What the heck? Okay? So anyway, so the family avoids conflict. I'm right in the middle of it. I forget what happens because I know that I'm traumatized and blocking it out. But basically, my other sister-in-law tries to piece everything over, okay?
Mhm.
And she's like, whatever, I'll pay for Aaron to go golfing. And then the three of them could go golfing and everything's fine. You know, and I was like, that doesn't make everything okay. That does not, it's like you purposely did this. And I don't know, whatever. I forget the details, but ended up in the car with Carol by myself, and I just laid into her. I was like, "I am so pissed what you did to Aaron and Abigail. If we're all here and you're making plans for just some of the cousins, but not all the cousins, you need to let them know so they can have time to prepare that they weren't invited."
Yeah.
I was like, "Of course, you can do whatever you want. You're an adult, but don't put me in that position ever again to defend you and what you do." I do not like how that went, and I expect that never to happen again. I was so angry.
I can tell.
I was so angry.
Yeah.
I cried for like 3 days.
I can tell just by the
I was
demeanor
pissed.
change right here.
Yeah. Oh, and Grant wasn't there that weekend. He just left. The night before, he left. It was like there was
Okay.
that one extra day. And quite frankly, I wonder if she would have done that if Grant was there.
Yeah.
Because she's kind of intimidated by Grant.
Okay. How do you think?
Like,
do you
even
think
now,
you
I'm
would
just
have,
like,
Yeah.
I'm so pissed.
Do you
Yeah.
think you would have behaved differently if Grant was there, or
Oh.
would you have still spoken up? And,
No, I would have been like, "Grant, you're up, Buttercup." Because
okay.
the kind of the rule of thumb for me and Grant, whether it's, I mean, people can figure out whatever they want to do, but for
Yeah,
the rule of
yeah.
thumb for me and Grant is, if it's your family, you're the spokesperson.
Right.
If it's my family, I'm the lead foot. Do you know what I'm saying? Unless, of course, it's between Grant and my dad. Like, if Grant and my dad have a conflict, they have to figure it out. And
Mhm.
if Carol and I have a conflict, we'll figure it out. But if it's a family dynamic, like this was, it's like he was like, "I cannot believe I wasn't there. I'm so sorry," because he's always there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Even reminiscing, I'm so angry I can't see straight. So it's that kind of stuff that I'm like, I'm probably gonna kill her, but I know I need to be merciful. Like, why she would do that is beyond me. But I feel like she judges my son. I feel like, and the ironic thing is, Aaron hit the best golf game out of the three of them. How we doing? It's like, and I'm not trying to be a jerk, but it's like, stop judging my kid.
Mm-hmm.
You're a jerk. It's like, congratulations, you're just an ant that became unsafe. Does that make sense? It's like,
Yeah.
What a jerk. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff we just covered. Primarily surrounding the
Christmas at the
dynamics,
Scotts.
Christmas
Yeah.
at the Scotts.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what do you feel like we got accomplished today?
Well, since it's just our first meeting,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it set up a good general picture
Mm-hmm.
for you to tell me what I need to be doing differently.
Okay.
Like, so I'm hoping that you can take whatever I said or didn't say and just kind of give me some tips. Like, it sounds like this is going well, but how do I control my stress level? How do I not kill my sister-in-law? Does that make sense? Like, do I
Right.
need to do something different with my sister-in-law? Is there something that I should be doing? I mean, Grant's like, she provokes everybody.
Yeah.
Because I've often been like this soul searching, like, well, maybe her issues are my issues, and that's why it's so provoking. Or maybe there's something in me that, does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like, maybe there's something, but I'm like, I don't think so anymore. I think she is provoking in how she communicates. She's got this little.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do I do that?
Yeah. Yeah. We laid down a pretty good map for where to go from here.
Mhm.
Starting with the just broad-ranging dynamics of the Scots at Christmas time,
Mm-hmm.
juxtaposed to the dynamics at your house on
So
the
easy.
regular basis, and kind of hit on some of your supports and good things you got going on,
Mhm.
what you draw strength from.
Mhm.
All in all, I think we've got a good start,
Okay.
and I think we're ready to get after it in,
Okay.
in the next upcoming sessions.
I love it.
So, unless, what questions do you have for me?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well then, we can be done, and I'll see you next
Okay.
week.
Thanks, Christian.
Yeah. Have a
Okay.
good day.
Yay.
All
I'm gonna
right.
be freaked out by my